Yeah. It's not a. So much money. It's like insane. We have that all clear? Good evening. Want to try that again? We're good? All right. Good evening, everyone. I'll now call to order the Thursday, August 25th, 2022 meeting of the City of Sugar Land Planning and Zoning Commission. Good evening. Thanks, everyone, for being here. And it's great to see a full house in person among the commission. So welcome, commissioners. And we'll get on with business. We'll move to item 2 for public comment. At this time, anyone may address the commission on any items that are not on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment? All right, then we will move on to item 3A, consideration of and action on the minutes from the August 9, 2022 meeting. Commissioners, you have the minutes in your packets. Do we have any comments or changes?
Motion to approve.
I do.
I've got a motion to approve from Commission. Oh, you have comments?
Yes.
So, all right, well.
Okay, so on page 3 of 4, it says Robert Wilson, Engineer 3, and Peter Bouchard, Senior Planner, EHRA Engineering, gave comments and answered questions from the commission. I thought it was HRA, not EHRA. Can you just? It is? Okay, that's it.
So that it's
That was it.
correct in the minutes?
I guess so.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
We've got a motion to approve by Commissioner Landine. Is there a second?
Second.
We've got a second by Commissioner Dawood. Any other discussion? If you'll please vote at this time. And I don't see the vote.
I think Mary's hanging it up.
Well, I just don't, usually you can see the scorecard.
That is true.
I'm sure there's a technical name for that.
Strike 2.
This is a lot of suspense for approving the minutes. All right, I'm going to assume, I don't see it, but I'm going to assume that passes and passes unanimously. All right, thank you, commissioners. Item 4A, subdivision plat, consideration of and action on the Alston Lakes preliminary plat. Laura Waller, Planner 2. Good evening, Laura. Take it away.
Good evening. Oh, where's the map? Okay, there we go. So this is before you tonight is a preliminary plat. Since it's been a while since we did a last preliminary plat, we have a couple of new commissioners. I was going to go ahead and go over some of the specifics that are about preliminary plats. So preliminary plats are to lay out lots and confirm lot size minimums can be met per the zoning district. Reserves and access are typically shown on preliminary plats. However, master notes, signature blocks, new easements that are being created on the plat are not going to be shown on the prelims. They're only going to be shown on final plats. That's why you see a lot of blank paper. It's because that's where the notes will go when they come back for the final plat. Preliminary plats are also not recorded at the county. They are passed by commission, and then the applicant will move forward with a final plat. That's a new process. You guys do get to see that, and then it will be recorded at the county. Preliminary plating does include a box exhibit, which is different from the other types of plats. This is to show the lot width at the front building line to confirm that the minimum width is at the front building line rather than just the front of the lot. This is typically for cul-de-sac lots, is where it's typically very important because they tend to have the pizza pie shape. So we want to make sure that the minimum lot width is where the house is going to be able to be built. And again, the box exhibits aren't included in the final plat, and nor are they recorded. So since 2019, there was a legislative session of the Texas State Legislature. And so there are new rules that require only 3 options for reviewing preliminary and final plats, and that is approve with conditions that cite code references, or disapprove with an explanation. Again, you'll need to provide reasons that are relating to codes. P&Z, you do have to cite code requirements for conditions on approval. And there is a plating guide that I left at the dais for you guys to help you with that. I left the section specific to the preliminary plat. So there should be a chart that tells you, that guides you through what conditions and the citations for each of those conditions. So an overview about this specific plat before you tonight. This is just under 5 acres at 4.8088. It is zoned standard single-family district. That did come before you guys during the summer of last year. And it is now moving forward with the preliminary plat of 16 lots in 2 reserves and 3 blocks. They do get access directly from Alston Road. There's a right-of-way down the middle of the plat, and it is adjacent to R1, the Ashford Lake subdivisions on either side, Section 8 on the left and Section 1 on the right. So the proposed preliminary plat, just to give you a little bit of reference, this is Alston here, and then, like I mentioned, they will have access directly from there on Ashford Haven, I believe is the name of that road. There are 2 kind of little bulbs here to provide access to the front of these lots here on the side. So there's 1 lot here, and then there's a 2nd and 3rd lot, 4th here. So these are a little bit odd, but they do show that they are accessed from these cul-de-sacs here at the front. That's what that triangle is. It's denoting where the access is. And then on the left side, you see the more typical 60-foot width lot by 110 depth. This is the box exhibit. So because these homes are fronting on the cul-de-sac bulbs rather than the street front, they do have to meet the 70-foot width because they're considered street side or corner lots. So they will have to have a little bit of a wider lot width to meet those minimums. This just makes sure that there is enough room to build a house even with the 20-foot street side setback. And then the 60-foot width is shown on the left side. Staff does recommend approval of the proposed preliminary plat, and we are here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Laura. Anyone have any questions? Let's start down here, Commissioner Dooley.
No.
All right. Commissioner Smith?
Just for my own clarity, what was the reasoning of these longer lots? They just have to be longer to meet the minimum size? Because
So-
they're not as wide or deep?
So they actually exceed the depth by quite a bit. They only have to be 110 feet deep, 60 feet wide and 110 feet deep. So they chose to lay that out because that's the best way they could fit their lots in. It's up to the developer, and that's the way that they chose to go. So long as they meet the minimums, we don't require them to, there's not a maximum size.
Okay. Just those long lots seem odd for that neighborhood because there's nothing, I went.
It does
and drove
seem
today,
odd.
There's nothing out there that's like that.
But that's the way that the lots lay out, and they do meet our zoning requirements.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown?
Good evening. I've got some questions. In your reserve table, Reserve A is called out as 0.4879 acres, but Reserve A is labeled as 0.4871. So there's a discrepancy there.
We will have them correct that.
Okay. And then on the table also, it calls out Reserve B as 0.0229 acres. But Reserve B doesn't have an acreage called out on it on the actual drawing. Does it need that?
No, it does not. They actually will probably end up just removing the amount from the Reserve A at the top of the
Okay.
page.
And then lastly, on the bottom of the drawing that fronts Alston Road, there is a building line that doesn't correspond with the legend, because it's called out as an easement. On the bottom left-hand side, it calls it out as a water easement, but it uses a building line that is in the legend.
The symbol is incorrect. Yes, I see that.
Okay. And that's what I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hart? Yeah, on those lots that are abnormally shaped, when they put the box size, 70 by 35, it goes outside of the building lines and into the utility easements.
Right,
So I'm
so,
not sure I understand what the purpose of that is showing.
so the box is to show that the lot meets the width. It's not to show the building area or the building pad where a house might go. It's to show that the lot meets the minimum width. In this case, the minimum width is 70 feet, so this lot does meet it. The reason it's 70 feet instead of 60 is because it is a corner lot, because it does have a street side on it. So it doesn't have to be inside utility easements or building lines, because it's not about where the house is going to go. It's denoting what the width of the lot is, the lot itself, not buildable area.
What's the actual building area?
So that would be
between
the-
the 20-foot building line and the 5-foot by 20-foot aerial easement? It looks like it could be just 40 feet.
Right,
Is that right?
yes,
And we have no governance over that?
right. This is what meets the code. This is what the code prescribes.
Okay. That was all my questions. Thank you. Okay. AP? No questions. Andy?
Thanks. Just for my clarity, I didn't see contours or spot elevations. Is that not on the preliminary?
No, typically that's only on the final plat.
Okay,
It's actually not required for that, but a lot of people do include it.
okay. Thank you. That was it.
Commissioner Landine?
Commissioner Brown took all my questions.
Yeah, he took some of mine too. All right. Vice Chairman Simeon?
Yeah, mine are more under the category of pet peeve, but one question I do have, and this is probably engineering. I think it odd that we have a detention pond so far away from the street. Is it going to be pumped outfall?
They have submitted some construction plans that we're currently reviewing that have a gravity outfall. It's a wet bottom pond in the rear. So storm drains will collect, move to the back of the property, and then collect from there out to the front.
And may I get you just to state your name? for the
Robert
record?
Wilson with engineering.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, it drains to the pond, obviously, and where does that gravity discharges to? the
So
street?
gravity discharges from the pond
Alston?
back to Alston Road.
Wow.
Yep.
That's odd. Yeah, the pet peeve is the surveying, the point of beginning and the northings and eastings. I mean, if you follow the northing and eastings, the way they're called, it won't form a box. But I've been schooled on this before that it doesn't matter, but just saying. My surveying professor would be spinning in his grave. The 16-foot waterline easement along the front and the parallel to the property line, will that show as 8 and 8 feet on each side of that line? Do we know? Is it?
I doubt that it's 8 and 8 feet. It looks like it's more like 1/3, 2/3, but
Yeah, but I mean, and it's in the right of way, so a little confusing. No, I really don't have anything substantive than the curiosity about the detention pond. One question, does it matter that it's dated December of 2021?
That's just whenever they initially applied. They typically, the dates are from the initial application. We can have them updated if you would like, but it's
It
not
makes,
required.
as long as it's okay with y'all, listen.
Yeah, the items that matter, the dates are the planning letters for recordation and things like that. The date that's on the plat
Okay.
is kind of arbitrary.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
All right, so some of my questions got taken, but not all of them. So first of all, on the elevation, so our guide says that contours or spot elevations are supposed to be shown on a preliminary plat. So,
Then I'll have them turn them on.
okay,
That's what I.
yeah. Okay. And I'm not sure what to do about the fact that they're not on here, but I guess we'll get to that. So those would for sure need to be included. And then I read the date on the preliminary plat as March 14th, 2021, but you're telling us there's no issue with the fact that this plat was prepared more than almost a year and a half ago.
Because they've been through 11 resubmittals.
Because what?
They've been through several resubmittals, rounds of comments.
And those just aren't reflected on the date, it's just.
Correct. This is the date of the
original
initial application.
submission. Okay. And then I really don't understand what's going on with the reserves. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but like, why would you put the acreage and square foot of Reserve A, not you personally, but can you help us to understand why the acreage and the square footage appears on Reserve A, but not on B?
Because it didn't fit in Reserve B, and whenever we requested them to take it off of both of them, they only took it off of one of them. So long as the information is on the plat, it meets code, so we take it forward.
Okay, so how do I know what's gonna be, when you're saying on the plat, does that mean that this?
It's just on the
get
face of
carried
the
over?
plat, like so
Okay,
long
but
as
the-
a
But the face of the
measurement is there.
plat, the reserve doesn't meet the table.
Right, it doesn't match, so I'm going to have them correct whichever one is wrong. I'm not sure which one's wrong.
Okay. But, and then are you gonna can you not have them include the same information for Reserve B? I just don't get
So
why
I
it's
was
on
just
there.
going to suggest they take it off of Reserve A and include the correct information in the chart, which is where it's
So it's
supposed
not
to
a
be.
requirement to show the dimensions?
You
of
just,
the
it has to
area?
be
I'm
someplace
not even done with
on,
my question,
I'm sorry.
but go ahead.
It just has to be someplace on the document. It doesn't have to be shown on the face of the plat.
Okay, but if it's on in two places, it needs to match, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then on the box exhibit, why does the legend not include the easement line, the building line, or the marks for vehicular access?
I'm not sure why it doesn't include the easement line. It should, but the reason the vehicular access symbol is not there is because it's not shown on the plat. It's not,
Yeah, but it's shown, I mean, it is, though.
there is no triangle on the box exhibit.
Right, why not?
Oh,
This
you
doesn't
want
have
the,
to this doesn't have to match, the box exhibit doesn't have to call out the same things as the, whatever you want to call it.
no, it just needs to show the
preliminary
property
plat.
lines and the boxes.
Okay,
Because that's what it's,
Because if I look on the preliminary plat, and I look at the bottom of lots 15, okay, right under the building line, there's a mark for vehicular access, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I can find that same location on the box exhibit. So why is it not included? Why does it not match what's on the preliminary plat? This is a call out of what's on the plat, right? It's supposed to be providing more detail.
so I'm not sure I understand your question.
Okay. Well, let me
Are
try.
you're asking me why aren't they showing vehicular access points on the box exhibit?
Yes.
Because it's shown on the plat, they don't have to put it both places. The box exhibit is for measuring the width of the lot. It's not for calling out all the details that are shown on the plat.
Okay. What about the same answer for the easement line and the
No, the
building
easements
line?
should be there because they're denoted on the box exhibit. They should be in the legend.
All right, so it's not there.
Yes.
Okay, and what about the building line? There's building lines.
Right,
shown on here.
those should be included and they're not included. It's
Okay.
missing from the box exhibit.
All right. All right, I think that's all I had.
So just don't forget, whoever makes the motion will need to include the citations based on the plating guide for these items.
It's a lot of work for someone. It would be great if these came to us without having to do that kind of stuff. All right.
I have a question. Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I have a question. Does the surveyor RPLS name need to appear on the preliminary plat? Because it calls out the name of the company, it does not call out the name of the surveyor that's gonna be signing it.
The surveyor doesn't sign it and it's not recorded. It's just
Right, but
approved by you.
it doesn't need to be on the preliminary, because it will end up on the final plat. It doesn't
Yes,
need
it
to
will be on the final.
But it doesn't need to be on the preliminary.
Okay, I have a question for you, Commissioner Brown. Tell me again what your suggestion was, so I can note that if I choose to make a motion.
The square footage for Reserve A.
I got that one.
I think Reserve B, I agree with you, needs to be labeled with square footage. I think there is room there to do that. And then the building line, on the bottom of the survey does not match the legend. It's showing it as an easement. In other words, it's an easement that's reflected on the survey.
That's the one I
but it's
didn't
marked
get.
as a building line,
Okay,
and it needs to be corrected.
okay. So I'm gonna see if I can do this, and if I can't, oh well. All right, I will make a motion to approve this preliminary plat, subject to the following conditions. Number one, that the preliminary plat call out the dimensions of Reserve A and Reserve B, and that the called out dimensions match the reserve table. And I think the rationale for that would be Development Application Handbook, which calls out the requirement for the legend table and also key identifier information, also pursuant to the handbook. Second of all, that the, Commissioner Brown, what is it, it's the building line on the bottom.
That the easement on the, what would be the south end along Alston Road be identified with an easement line instead of a building line.
Okay, and again, I believe that would be inclusive of key identifier information pursuant to the handbook, also probably the legend table as well. And then number three would be that the box exhibit legend call out the easement line and or identify the easement line and the building line. That's per the legend table requirement in the handbook as well. Did I miss anything? Oh, and then, thank you, number four, that the contours or spot elevations be identified on the preliminary plat pursuant to the development code and the handbook.
I'll second.
All right, I've got a motion and by myself and a second from Vice Chairman Simeon. Do we have any further discussion? All right, please vote at this time. Again, I can't see what the vote is. Okay, I'm informed that that motion passes to some degree, so thank you. I don't know what the vote is, but hopefully that is recorded somewhere. So thank you very much, Laura. Thank you, commissioners. And we'll move on to the next item of the agenda, which should be city staff reports. 5A, 5A is the Planning Zoning Commission Liaison Report from the August 16th City Council meeting.
That was me, and I apologize. I was on my way back from Louisiana and got in too late and missed the meeting. I had planned on attending, so I apologize I couldn't get somebody in. But I did watch the 23rd, which was mine.
Well,
and
your penance is to watch the 16th and then.
and watch it and come back.
All right, what happened on the 23rd?
On the 23rd, it was pretty much a workshop for the stormwater fee that is under consideration by City Council to be adopted to capture shortfall in city funds to meet some, I guess, unfunded mandates from the state on stormwater compliance, or it's either the state or the feds. And then also just to continue with maintenance for our internal storm sewer systems. And I think that goes on effect in January of '23.
Excellent, thank you, Commissioner Hart.
But that was, if you didn't watch it, that was based upon a impervious cover percentage on your lot. And there were different rates based upon how much that was, and if you were commercial or residential. And there was some debate about what, if religious institutions were going to be covered, but normal taxing entities were not going to be assessed this fee. Did I get all that?
All right. All right.
Thank
Well done. Thank you very much. 5B, City Staff Report.
Good evening. So just a couple of reminders for you. Our next meeting will be September 13th. I think we all polled you for your availability to start that meeting early, because we are going to have a joint session workshop with City Council and the Commission. You'll be receiving an update on the Mobility Master Plan. So we want to share with you some of the engagement efforts and the outcome from that happened earlier this summer, as well as give you just an overview of where we are with that project. So the meeting will be starting at 5:30. After that topic, we will convene the regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We anticipate one item on your regular agenda. So we'll try to start it as close to 6:30 as we can. I can't guarantee that the discussion in the workshop won't go longer, but we anticipate about an hour for the workshop. So thank you. And I think that's all I have.
So 5:30 start time.
Yes.
A joint meeting with council for probably, I'm not holding you to the bed, for presumably about an hour.
About an
And then
hour.
we have at least one item on our own agenda
Yes.
after that.
There'll be a public hearing, and I think we'll also be posting it for a consideration action.
Can you just remind us what the purpose of the joint session is?
It is so that the information can be shared jointly with both council and the Planning and Zoning
No, he means
Commission.
the topic.
What
Oh, the
information?
Mobility Master Plan.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Yes,
thanks.
sorry,
All right,
sorry. Thank you.
looks like we're good. We're done.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, I have 3 commissioners vying for the motion to adjourn. I'm going to give this one to Commissioner Ushold. Is there a second? You snooze, you lose. I got a second by Commissioner Hart. All in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.